Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd do an unboxing and an initial review of a new set of carbon wheels I bought for my bike. Now these set of wheels are from a company called Scribe. I'd just like to point out right from the start that I'm not being sponsored by Scribe to do this video. They have not supplied me with these wheels to review. I have bought these myself from reviewing things on the internet. And so anything I say here will be entirely my opinions and not influenced by anybody outside. So I suppose the first question is, why did I decide to buy myself a new set of rims? And more importantly, why a set of carbon rims, given they are quite expensive? Well, two reasons really. The first is a rather aesthetics one. I like the look of carbon rims, especially the fairly deep section aero ones. And I've always quite fancied getting a set of carbon rims to go with my carbon frame Specialized Sirrus bike. However, I couldn't really justify the expense. The original stock wheels I had, which were a set of Axis 1s, they're just aluminium rims. They're a fairly deep profile in themselves. They actually look quite aero, even though they probably aren't. They do weigh quite a bit. Yeah, they worked fine, no problem at all. So I really couldn't justify the expense of a new set of rims on the bike. That was until recently, and that is where I'll come to my reason number two. Now my reason number two is that unfortunately now I cannot get service spares for these actual wheels. Unlike a lot of bikes' wheels now, the old Axis 1s use a cup and comb bearings in the hub, as I've done on a previous video, which I'll put up in the top somewhere. You can actually service these quite easily. Replacement ball bearings for the cup and combs are easily obtained. You know, the 1/4 inch ball bearings you can get from Amazon or eBay for a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars. So servicing that's not a problem, and even servicing the free hub, again, you can pick up the ball bearings. So as long as nothing major happens to the free hub, again, you can service that. The problem I'm having now is that the actual cones, you just cannot get the right ones. I did a while ago do a video on actually replacing the cones, and I thought I'd found some that were a pretty good match, but it turns out they weren't close enough and they're just wearing on the leading narrow edge of the cone itself. And again, I've done a video recently, which I'll link up in the top there, where I sort of explain that in a bit more detail. So if it wasn't for that, I would stick with these wheels, but as it is, I need to look for something different. So what did I pick Scribe? Well, I was looking through just some reviews online, and I was just going to go for probably some aluminium wheels. And I found that Scribe had some reviews for their Wide D Plus aluminium wheels. So their Race D Wide Plus aluminium wheels, and they were really well reviewed. They were very lightweight for the actual sort of money. I think they came in at 1448 grams for the set. I'll say they had some really good reviews on the bike review sites. So I was looking at those, and then I noticed that Scribe also did some carbon wheels. So I started looking at those, and again, the reviews online are actually very positive for them. For the money they actually cost, they get very good reviews. So I'll just start unboxing this, and I'll talk to you through a bit more about them. So in the box, I'd just like to say these set wheels are their Wide Plus 42mm ones. Now Scribe do a variety of wheel depths in their carbon range. They range from 32mm up to 42, which is what these are. They do a 50, a 60, a 70 and an 80. And you can get these either in single matching sets, so 42 front, 42 rear, or on some of the bigger ones they actually do asymmetric sets where you might have a 70 on the front and an 80 on the rear, just so you've got a little less sort of cross-section for the wind if you have crosswinds. So in the box you get a set of skewers, because my bike still uses QR skewers on that one. And you get a pack of basically spares that go with it. So we've got a 6-bolt to centre lock disc brake converter, these wheels being centre lock. There's also a spacer for 10-speed cassettes, because the hub is 11-speed. There's a couple of tubeless valves, and we've got what looks like 4 spare spokes and obviously the nipples to go with them. So you get a nice set of spares in there, a nice set of pieces in there to actually go with them. So why did I pick the 42s? Well, I went for quite a while looking around and looking at the actual rims they had. And I thought maybe the 50s. So I actually got in touch with them through their online portal. They have a very nice sort of custom interface where you actually get to speak to one of the engineers and actually know something about this. And they actually, they quiz me on what sort of style of riding you're going to do, what's the conditions you're going to ride in, all that sort of stuff. And they in the end recommended that, you could go for the 50s, which are apparently the popular one, or you could go for the 42s if you want to be less prone to actual crosswinds, things like that. So mostly mine is commuting, and so I thought I'd go for the 42s. Now, if we just open this up, they're very nicely packed in the actual box. So yeah, like I was saying, the actual customer service I thought was excellent from Scribe. It's through a chat system on their site. It would have been nice to actually have a phone to actually talk to them, but the chat system worked quite well. It's just a bit more stilted when you're actually trying to discuss things with them. But they were very knowledgeable and very helpful. Because actually the guys you're speaking to are the people that have actually designed it and know what they're talking about on this. So as you can see here, here's the actual rim itself. Now I went for the ones with the what they call the Vader black logos on them. So there's a logo there and one by the valve. Just take the foam off. So they look really nice and they feel really nice, lightweight. So we just do the front. So these particular rims, they have an internal width of 21 millimeters. So it's actually on the quite wide side compared to a lot of older sort of aero rims. So it's sort of going now with the trend for the wider aero rims. So it's 21 mil on the inside internal and 30 mil external. Like I say, these are 42 mil deep. That's the front one. Again, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now these things are made from tyre T700 and T800 carbon fibre, so it's good quality carbon fibre. And they used bladed spokes from Pillar. So these are what I know done as they are Pillar Wing 20 spokes, which are apparently very good quality spokes. And again, like I say, they are bladed, so they are nice and aero. So that should actually help improve things. And rather than being cut and cone bearings, these just use standard press fit seal cartridge bearings. So these should be easily obtained when you need to replace them. Because they will wear. It is a wearable component on the actual bike. So this particular set of wheels, in total for the pair, they come in at 1422 grams, which is really light. That actually is what impressed me about these set of wheels from Scribe. Is that yes, you can compare against the likes of Mavic and companies like that, and they get good reviews. The sort of the equivalent sort of wheels get good reviews on those sites as well. But they are, there's nothing wrong with them. I couldn't say there's anything wrong with Mavic or anything like that. But these wheels, just for the money, I think they just have slight edge maybe. And they also tend to be a little bit lighter than those other ones, and even lighter actually than some of the much more expensive ones. Now this particular set of wheels, they come in at about £870. I think Scribe offers free shipping internationally, so that includes obviously shipping them to you, which I think is very good. Just put that to one side. Now they have their own design free hub here. It's a ratchet style free hub. It's their ratchet drive. I believe this is quite similar to DT Swiss's, I think it's an XDR, which again is sort of a ratchet drive one. So this is not your sort of traditional poured actual thing. It's got an aluminium body here, and it's also got stainless steel bike guards obviously so the free hub itself, so the cassette, sorry, doesn't dig into it. It obviously being softer than the actual steel of the free hub, or if you've got more expensive one, titanium maybe. These particular wheels come with various adapters, or you can actually ask them with various adapters that go in the ends. Like I said, my bike has quick release, so I've got the quick release ones in here, but you can also get them in 12 and 50mm through axle. I think it's only 12mm on the rears for the through axles, not 50. I think it's only 50 on the fronts. So my first impressions is they look really nice. I'm really pleased with the look of these, and they feel really nice. I must admit, when I received the box with them in, I actually thought they'd shipped me nothing. It felt so light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these up. Now I'm going to actually run these tubeless. The actual rims are hooked, so you've got a bit more choice in actual tyres, tubeless tyres on these ones. So I'm actually going to run these with a set of GP5000s. Now this is the original TL ones. I know they've recently done a set of GP5000s which are improved on the TLs, which are primarily meant for hookless rims. But at the time I bought these, they hadn't actually released those, and in actual fact these are hooked rims anyway, so I'm not going to gain much by going for the hookless ones. I'm also going to actually put a new set of disc brakes on them, so rather than take the rotors off my old wheel set, which were 6-bolt, I'm actually going to use a new set I bought myself. So I've actually bought myself a fairly entry-level Shimano rotor set. Now these are SM-RT70s. I think they're from the 105 range. I think they're pretty much the low one down in their range of ice technology rotors. So these are ones where they've got basically a sandwich of stainless steel, aluminium stainless steel, with the aluminium there to improve the actual heat dissipation on these. Now, yes, these are certainly not as light as if you want to go for the Ultegra ones or the Dura Ace ones, but because I'm not really after all-out lightness on my bike, there are lots of other things about my bike that aren't that light. Yes, it's a carbon frame bike, but it's not a top-of-the-range carbon frame bike, so lightness is not the be-all and end-all for me on this one. Just having something nice, and also just the hassle of having to use the 6-bolt adapter on my old ones. I might actually leave the old ones set up, so if I need to, I could just swap the cassette and go back to them if I want to do something. If I don't, want to do maybe gravel stuff or something like that. So what I'll do is I will set these up with the tubes and with the new disc brakes on them, and I can weigh them up just to see how heavy they actually come out as. I think when I weighed, when I weighed my old ones, the pair of these came out at 1600 grams for the front and 2184 for the rear. But obviously that's with tubes, tyres fitted, the cassette and the actual discs on them. And obviously you can't compare that against the literally just bare out of the box frames or carbon rims as we got there. So I'll set all this lot up. I'm not going to do the tubeless setup in the video because there are plenty of videos online where people have done tubeless setup. But I'll come back to you when I've set all that up and we can have a look at them again. And in fact, the only thing we'll do is I suppose we'll have a look at listen to the rehab. We can actually do this now if you want. I think that sounds quite nice. It's actually quite a bit noisier than my current one, which actually is virtually silent. Actually, can't easily do this. Wrong way. It's virtually silent on that one. Yeah, I'll get them set up and I'll get back to you, and we can then have a look at them and do a bit more of a review of them. Be back in a moment. Welcome back. Now, I did actually say I wasn't going to do the fitment of the tyres, but actually I thought I would just do that. I I've actually just done the rear and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Scribe actually do have some quite useful videos on their on YouTube on actually fitting these things. But yeah, I thought I'd just show you this because, like I say, it wasn't actually as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the tubeless valve. Just take the lock nut off and take the little rubber seal off. If we find where the valve actually goes in this, put that through there. Now, I'm not going to tighten this down fully at this stage because actually Scribe suggests on their video that you keep it so it's actually a little bit loose, so it can actually go up a bit, because that actually gives you a little bit more space to put the bead of the tyre in, because obviously if you do it when this is fully seated, it's obviously got a bulbous thing on the rubber seal there, but actually the shaft of the tubeless valve is a lot narrower. So the next thing you need to do is actually get your tyre. Now this is like I say is the GP5000. These are 25mm. Now this has actually been in the garage for a bit, so it was actually quite cold. So what I've done is I've just brought it in and I've warmed it up just so it's going to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit easier to actually use. Now you just want to work out what the direction of this is, because these tyres are actually directional. So the tread pattern's a bit of a giveaway because it's pointing in the sort of the tread direction. But also there will be somewhere on here, and I don't know where you can actually see this, there is actually a rotational indication on there with an arrow pointing forwards. And for Scribe they actually put the, you can see that from the camera, they actually put the labelling or their Scribe logo on the wheel hub, such that actually if you are looking down on it from the riding position, that should read effectively the right way. So this is actually the real rotation direction. So what they suggest is that you basically put the tyre over the rim, over the edges. So you're putting the actual tyre right over the edges on both sides. So I'm just going to feed that on here. I'll just put it all the way over the rim. So the rim is or the tyre is actually over the edge of both sides. This should be fairly easy. As you can see there, it is all the way over there. Now you want to start from the opposite side to the valve, because obviously the valve being actually in the way of the sort of the valley of the actual tube, or the valley of the actual rim on the inside, is going to get in the way, and it will mean that you won't be able to seat the actual tyre bead quite so easily in there. You might also want to line up any logos on the tyres with logos on the rims if you want to. So I'm just going to put the Continental logo there, basically in line with thing. I'm just going to also just check I've actually got the rotation the right way. Yes, I have. So starting from the opposite side to the actual valve, I'm just going to, on the outer side, I'm just going to feed that bead in. This should be fairly easy, at least when it starts off. And you want to make sure that it's, when you're feeding it in, it's sat right in the middle of that valley in the actual rim itself. So we work it around, evenly work it around from both sides. As we start to approach the valve, it is going to get a bit tighter. Now I don't know whether these tyres have actually been treated with something, because they do feel quite slippery on the carbon, which is quite nice. So as you get towards the centre there, just go around and check that you've actually got the bead in the middle of the actual carbon rim itself. Also check your alignment of your labelling if you want to, because it's quite difficult to move it once you put it on. And then as you get closer, just use the palms of your hands just to roll that bead in evenly either way. And there you go, that's dropped in nicely. So I'm just going to push the valve up a bit. So like I said, we've got the narrow part there. You also want to go around this point and just make sure that your bead is sort of sat vertically, and it's not sort of a bit on the squiff. So just go around and just check, just pull it up, make sure it's not sat wonky and therefore not seated properly in the middle of that valley. So going to make it more difficult. So that's the one side done. So now we're going to go on to the other side. And again, we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to feed the tyre in over the rim, and just make sure as we're feeding it in, it is going into the middle of the valley, and keep feeding it round. And try and feed it around evenly. We should do that. So as we approach the valve, just let's make sure that the valve is, yeah, that's sat up still. So obviously now it's going to start getting a bit harder. So yeah, again, just like I say, just check, just quickly whip around to make sure that we've actually got everything in the middle of the valley of the rim there. So it's going to be the shortest distance will make peeling this over much easier. And then again, just like on the other side, just try and roll it over with the palms of your hands. And that's it. That is slotted in, and it was as simple as that. These are apparently can be quite difficult tyres to actually do this with because they've got quite a stiff bead. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around and just make sure that the bead is stood vertical. And it's again in the centre. And then I'm going to inflate this. So that's okay. So just to seal off slightly. Not quite as central as I wanted it, but never mind, it doesn't really matter, it's only the logo. Now just to seal off the valve, you just want to press down from the inside or press down from the outside on the tyre, and then you can start tightening up. Just move the rubber seal up so we're not grating that against the thread so much. Pressing that down, it's just going to give you that little bit more, you know, a sort of quarter turn more, just to seat that in there, and that should be sufficient. I'm just going to get the pump. So this is a blast pump. As you can see, it's actually quite new. It's still got the actual label on this. Just connect it up. See it on there, and then we'll just set it to charge up the cylinder. And we'll see. So I'm going to charge that to about, this is where I need to be a bit heavier. I'm not heavy enough to actually charge this away. That's about 140. I'm just going to blast it on. And that has seated really nicely, straight onto the rim, no problem at all. So now we can then just pump it up. There you go. Tyre, perfectly on the rim, and actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So I'll carry on doing the other bits then and setting them up. Be back with you shortly. Okay, so now the tyre's on okay. I'm going to do the disc brakes. So as I said, I'm going to put my SM-RT70s on. Now, these are natively centre lock. So it's a splined contact point there, which goes onto the splining on the actual hub itself, and it has a lock ring, which is the same. Is it HT? I can't remember what the name is of the actual thing now, but it's the same as basically Shimano use on the hub lock rings, or the cassette lock rings. So again, this has got a rotational direction, which is this way, and that we want to match with obviously the rotation of the tyre. So again, if we look at the Scribe logo and also the direction on the rotations on the tyre, this is going to fit that way. Let's just check. Yep, so that's facing outwards. And then we can put our, I don't think there's any need to be, I might just line the Shimano up just to be slightly angular retentive. That way, and we can put our lock ring on. Now these say that you should lock them down to 40 Newton meters torque. I've got a torque wrench which I've set to 40. Just lock these up to now. There we go, and that's it done. I'll do the other one and then we'll carry on. So I'll be back in a moment. So welcome back. Okay, the next job is to get some sealant into the tyres. Now I didn't do that when I was actually inflating them, because I'm actually going to do that through the valve, and I just didn't want the mess of trying to get them on there and having to deal with the actual sealant. Now the sealant I'm using is Stan's No Tubes. No particular reason, it just got fairly well reviewed, so that's what I'm using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tyre core removal tool. So I'm just going to take the pressure down. I'm just going to remove the core, and then we're going to inject the sealant through the valve body itself into the tyre, and then we're going to re-inflate the tyre. Now I've already measured out 40 mils of sealant, which was sort of the recommended amount for a 25mm tyre, so that's what I'm going to use. I'll put that all the way into the tyre, and I'm going to slowly inject the sealant into there. Now this seems by far the easiest way to do the sealant than trying to do it at the point you put the actual tyre on the rim, but you know, the choice is yours. I'll put the core back in there and then gently tighten that up. In actual fact, the injection syringe and the core removal tool came as a pack of things from, I think it was Amazon, so you can easily pick those up. And next we're just going to re-inflate the tyre. So go back to my pump. And then we'll pump up to about 80 psi, which is sort of the minimum they recommend for these tyres. Now I'm just doing this pumping rather than using the blast because it's already quite well sealed on the rim, and it's just, you know, reseating itself, so there shouldn't actually be the need to sort of blast pump it back on. Take it slightly above to there, and I'm going to carefully, just with a cloth, just in case we get any splatter out, I'm just going to carefully remove. So, and then we'll tighten up the valve, put the cap back on. I'll cap this one. I'm just going to shake the actual wheel to spread the lubricant, the sealant around. Make sure it's fully spread around the rim, and that should be all done. There we go. But anything else is set up, I'll be back within a bit. Right, and we're back, and that's it basically. Right, I fitted the disc rotors, I put the skewers in now, and I've done the disc rotors on the other wheel, and everything is now set up. Now, my first impressions compared to my old Axis 1 wheelset is, wow, they are a lot lighter. You can feel the difference definitely. You can also obviously see the difference in the rim profile or the rim depth, and I think these look really nice. I'm really pleased with these ones. They look really lovely, and you can also see it actually if you look down, sort of the tyre itself and the actual rim itself. In the, and I don't know whether this is quite in the right position for you to see on the camera, but basically the width of the tyre is pretty much now flat with, or the same level as the actual profile of the rim, being quite a wide rim. Whereas on the old Axis 1s, distinctly the tyre was a lot wider than the actual rim profile itself, and there was a distinct sort of necking in at the point where obviously the two meet. And it's quite obvious also that you look at they're both 25mm wide tyres, but the one on the Scribe wheel, because the internal width is a lot wider than my old Axis ones, the actual tyre width looks a lot wider, or it's noticeably wider. So in terms of weight, the front Scribe ones come in now fully loaded with the tyre, the rotor and the quick release at 1,215 grams, and that compares to my old wheel set, which came in at 1,598 grams. So that's quite a saving on that one alone. If we go for the rear, I've actually taken the cassette off my old one and I haven't put the cassette on this one, so I need to add another about 430 grams for my cassette to both these to give a total wheel weight. But yeah, I've taken them both off for the actual measurements and the weighing now. Again, there is a noticeable in the hand difference between the two wheels, and they are basically set up now in an identical way with the same components on them and the tyres fitted. And you know, for the tubeless ones, it's got the weight of the sealant in there as well, which is, you know, assuming it's the same weight as water in terms of density, that's 40 grams of sealant in there at least. And again, in terms of the look, I think they look really nice. You know, like I say, I like the look of my Axis 1 wheel set when I had it, but these do look really sweet. And again, the same rim profile there in terms of that wide profile is giving a much better aero profile now to the actual wind coming out this tyre. And again, the weights on these were the Axis, also the Scribe ones on the rear are now 1,352 grams, and that compares to 1,752 grams for my old Axis 1 wheel set. So in total, that gives a Scribe wheel set weight for the pair of 2,567 grams, and that compares to my Axis wheel set, which was 3,350 grams. So basically I'm saving, I think it was 783 grams now, which is quite a significant saving just on changing the wheel set. So I'm really pleased with that. I think, like I say, I think they look really sweet. I think they're absolutely, yeah, they're a lovely profile. They look really nice. I love the black on this. I like the black Scribe logo. I'm going to fit the cassette. There'll be slight extra weight obviously with the cassette, and I need a spacer on this one because it's an 11-speed cassette, and mine's only a 11-speed free hub, but mine's only 11-speed cassette. But that's just a 1.8mm spacer, so there's not a great deal of weight in there. So yeah, I am really impressed with these. I will fit them to my bike and give them a go, and I'll either do it as an update to this video or I'll put it on the end of this video. But yeah, I think this is well worth a really nice purchase, so I'm very pleased with this. So yeah, that's my Scribe wheel set, my 42 wide D plus wheels from Scribe Cycling, who, if you're interested, are based in Belfast, Northern Ireland. So yeah, that's really nice. I'm very pleased. And I will give you an update on how they actually feel on the bike when I've got them all fitted. I hope you found that useful. Do check out the links I put in the description. I'll have some links to Scribe Cycling themselves. I'll also try to link to some of the reviews that I read when I actually came to make the choice of this. Like I said, this was entirely my choice. It was a close run thing between Scribe and a lot of the other more mainstream manufacturers. I like the fact that Scribe are quite a small outfit. You do get to speak to the engineers if you actually want to find out a bit more about it. So you feel that you're not going to get lost in perhaps some big organisation if you have a problem. These wheels have a lifetime crash warranty on them, so they can be replaced. And yeah, I think they're great value for money for what they are. So thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Do subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this sort of thing, and hopefully I'll post another video updating you on actually what they feel like to ride. Thank you.